let's make some waiver wire decisions up next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Wednesday, August 9th. I am Frank Samfeld, joined by Scott White, and let's pit some hitters up against each other. Scott, Nolan Jones, 2 for 4 with a double dong here on Tuesday. He's had a fine season, a rough July, but has bounced back here in August. Joey Meneses, also a double dong in game 2 of the doubleheader against the Phillies, and he has 9 home runs, 9 of his 11 since the start of July. So a little bit of a power binge here for Meneses. Scott, who would you rather have, Nolan Jones, Joey Meneses?
I'd definitely rather have Jones, who seems to have gotten going again. He had the 2-homer game here on Tuesday, had a 4-hit game earlier in August. You look at his season numbers, they're still really impressive. He's batting over 280 with an OPS near 900. And let me see if I can find those exact numbers for you. Nolan Jones, 280 with an 871 OPS. So he still looks great overall, and he still has the benefit of playing half his games at Coors Field, and he still has terrific exit velocity. He strikes out way too much, but playing half his games at Coors Field should help with that. It's such a good environment for BABIP. And best of all, Nolan Jones doesn't have to worry about playing time anymore because CJ Cron is gone. Randall Grichuk is gone. Those were 2 players who might have blocked him at 2 different spots. He's going to play, and hopefully he's playing well again. Joey Meneses, he's been hot recently. He's been hitting more home runs. Even during this stretch where Joey Meneses has been hitting more of his home runs, 9 of his 11 for the season, his average exit velocity is only 88.5 miles per hour, which is not what you'd expect from a power hitter. And he's actually lowered his average exit velocity for the season, even with 9 of his 11 home runs coming during that stretch. And last year, when he was productive down the stretch, looked like he was more of a middle of the order threat. Joey Meneses had an average exit velocity of 91.4 miles per hour. So it's even much less than that. I think with increased exposure this year, Meneses has proven to be more of a contact hitter with occasional over-the-fence power. And ultimately, that profile doesn't stack up to what I think Nolan Jones can be.
All right, let's talk about 2 utility players for fantasy. You can move these guys around. They each have first, second, and third base eligibility. Wilmer Flores has been awesome in the second half. He had 2 more hits on Tuesday and his 15th home run. Overall, he's batting .310 with a .919 OPS this year. And Brandon Drury went 3 for 5 with his 15th home run. Recently returned from injury for the Angels and has been pretty solid this year. Scott, who do you prefer, Wilmer Flores or Brandon Drury?
I think you just go with the hot hand, which Wilmer Flores is the hotter hand right now. He has started to pop out of the lineup recently. Again, for most of his time with the Giants, Wilmer Flores has been more like a part-time player. I think he sat 2 of the last 7 for them. And as he cools off, which he inevitably will, presumably he'll sit more and more. I think that's less of a risk for Drury. I think he's going to be a more consistent part of the Angels lineup ultimately. But again, Wilmer Flores is so hot right now that I think, particularly at this stage of the season, particularly if you're talking about a head-to-head league where you're trying to lock up that final playoff spot, you just go with the hot hand for now, ride it as long as it lasts. And Flores is someone like Drury who you can slot at several different positions.
All right, let's wrap up with 2 players in deeper leagues, Michael Massey and Drew Waters. Massey, 2 for 4 with his 10th home run, and he's also turned on the power and the speed lately for Kansas City. Drew Waters, 3 for 5 with his 7th home run and his 7th steal of the season. Both are 10% rostered or less, Scott, so we're talking 14-team leagues or deeper. Any interest in Massey or Drew Waters?
They both did enough in the minors leading up to their time with the Royals that I think it's at least worth monitoring. If you want to have fun with arbitrary id points here, Michael Massey, will start with him. Last 18 games, 274, 6 home runs, 4 doubles, 2 steals. You'll take those numbers if he can sustain them, but for an 18-game stretch, his best 18-game stretch of the year, that's not saying that much. If he is as good as I hoped he was at the start of this year, as good as his minor league numbers made him look, then, the the breakthrough has to start some way. Maybe we'll look back and say this was it for Michael Massey, but I would bet against it at this point. Now, Drew Waters, arbitrary endpoints for him, last 38 games, so longer span of time, 276 batting average, 6 home runs, 7 steals. Still a 33.6% strikeout rate during that stretch, and I don't see that improving. He does hit the ball hard, and during that 38-game stretch, 90.1 average exit velocity. But the strikeouts, the bad park, it's a lot to overcome for Drew Waters. Keep an eye on it. In the very deepest leagues, maybe you could take a look at him. But I'm not rushing to pick him up just yet.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.